Welcome to the Purpose Driven Mom Show, episode 372. Today I'm talking here with Polly Payne, all about how to put God first in your life, in your business, and in your planning. Polly, thank you for being on the show today.
Hi, Cara. I'm so glad to be here.
All right, so before we jump in and really get to the planning nitty gritty, that's what like my audience loves. They have these big goals. They want to spend time with the Lord, and they're, here's the to-do list of 100 things. Tell us about how you got started in your business, everything with Horatio Press, and just a little bit more about you and your family.
Yeah, so current day, I have two kiddos currently living in Lookout Mountain, Georgia, which is basically Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm about, a one leap over from the Tennessee line. And I've been running Horatio Printing for the last 9 years. We're hitting our 9th birthday this month, actually October 16th.
Yeah.
And this is the month we're also launching our 10th planner collection tomorrow. But how I got started, that was back in 2014. I was in a season of my life that was a little bit, I would say, dark and discouraged. Mostly because I was just living in excess. Like I was just kind of what some people would say living their best life, but I didn't feel like I was living my best life. I was a senior ad sales director for an ad tech company that was fantastic in New York. And I was going out a lot and living my life, but I wasn't pursuing my passions. I wasn't living up to my potential. I wasn't pursuing any of my dreams. And I really just had this sinking feeling in the back of my heart of like, I'm created for more. I really want to do those dreams. I really want to start my company. I want to create something. And I just had everything on the back burner until I read a book called The Artisan Soul. And it was that night I was reading the book on my bed that I just had this epiphany from God that in the book it teaches, because we're created in the image of God, we are designed to create. And we are an artist of our own life. Our life is our greatest work of art. And we're artists because we're created in the image of God. And it was just like, oh my gosh, I resonated with that so much. And he stressed the importance of taking ownership on your time and ownership on your life and what you're creating with your life and what you're doing with your time. It's not trivial. It's actually really important. And it wasn't like this shame-based book at all. It was more of this really inspiring future vision of what you can create with this life, this masterpiece of yours, not perfection, but something beautiful. And so I was like, well, I need a planner. I've got to get my life together. I have to get a planner. I'm a hardcore planner girly, always have been, because I'm extremely forgetful. If I don't write it down, it doesn't happen. And so that night I just stayed up making a planner, sketched it out, and ended up hiring two interns from the company I worked at that went to my church, and they are still incredible designers. And we made the planner, bought the planner, sold the planner, and I've just been making planners ever since, along with other paper products, obviously.
Oh, I love that. I love when you get that like God download, like out of nowhere. I was telling my team, I do these things called like dream walks where I try to go once a week and just like, God, whatever, like just I'm here for it, right? Because we don't give that quiet time. I know me, I'm like pot kettle black here, like, you know what I mean? I'm not great at it. So I've been trying to be really intentional. And I came back from one the other day and I just like word vomited on Voxer, like all these ideas for things. And they're like, oh, you must have gone for a walk, didn't you? And I was like, I did. That fire, I think that's lit in us. Because I think, especially as moms, I've predominantly moms listening. So often we're just kind of on that hamster wheel of the day, right? And we're doing this kid activity and this sport and this thing and filling things for everyone else. And that I think our purpose and what I think God has for us gets lost along the way. So I just love that like fire and excitement, that comes from that. Why do you think so many people struggle though to even take that time or allow those downloads to come in? What do you think are some of the struggles, especially moms, are dealing with?
Well, I think we're tired, I think we're exhausted. And I think we have past pain of dreams had that didn't come to fruition. And to not dream is a way of self-protection. It's a way of safety. I just want to do this and stay here because the last time I tried to start my own business, I had to quit after 3 months, or like that MLM that they promised this, that, and the other, and I asked all my friends to, like we have these stories of things that happened. And that hurt. I don't want to do it again. That's one thing. It's like pain resistance. It's also fear, of failure, fear of judgment. But I think a lot, especially for moms, it's like we're tired and we're giving so much energy to our kiddos and to our home. And then when we do have time, it goes straight to escaping, to doing the things that are not important and not urgent, right? It's TikTok, it's those fillers that steal our time, which pot calling the kettle black over here as well. I fall into those numbing escape situations as well. So I think that if I could just, make a guess, that would be my wild guess.
Yeah, 100%. Especially when I feel like a lot of that also stems into this guilt, I feel like a little bit that we have of, I have all these other things to do. I don't deserve, I can't find, I'm not worthy, whatever that story is in our heads to have this time. Why do you think it is important though? You call it like the God first schedule. Like, why is it important to do that?
Well, I think pursuing your dreams isn't selfish. I think we think it is like, oh, it's selfish because it's going to take away, because we have this concept of scarcity. And yeah, there are so many hours in a day for sure. You know what I mean? In order to pursue a dream, we often do have to lay something down. But I think that we can create more time for our dreams if we are stronger with our boundaries, stronger with our intentions. Like the Proverbs 31 woman, she was so intentional. She considers a field and then she buys it. She's not an impulse shopper. She's not an impulse invitation taker. She's not an impulse, yeah, sure, I'll. She's still a giver. She's still, waking up in the mornings and showing up and doing the things for her home and for her husband and for the kids. She's an entrepreneur. She's out there making it happen, truly. She's making profit from her vineyards that she's planting. And but she's intentional with what she puts her hands to. And I think we can learn a lot from her because she was making it happen. She was an entrepreneur. She was considering investments and making investments. And so it's not selfish to do any of those things, but we have to look at her. And what is she? She's so intentional with her time, with her words, with what she's scheduling. And we have to get serious with our words and our time and what we're scheduling. Not that we're so rigid and like robotic, but that we have guardrails on of what's important, what's not important, what am I nurturing this week, what am I trying to grow, and giving yourself space to dream. I think it's really good for your kids to see you pursuing a dream. I think it's healthy for them to see you doing something that lights you up, and that if it lights you up, you're going to show up as a mom in a new way, in a better way, and a more creative way, because we're created to create,
I love that. And I love just the word intentionality. That's something we talk about a lot here at APDM, intentionality and grace, right? Because the day's just going to go. Like if we're not intentional about it, but also I love that you mentioned like, but we're not robots. So we have to have this middle ground. So let's get into some of the planning stuff. That's what I love the most. And I really want to talk to you about how we can give advice to the moms listening on how they can start. Maybe, I don't know, is it planning your week? Is it planning your day first? Just to walk us through kind of your process and some of the stuff and the tools that you have for how we can plan to have this time with God and the priorities that, we have in our lives.
So there's, so many ways to skin a cat, which is a terrible analogy. I would never skin a cat, but I'll tell you my way. And I don't think you have to do it my way. You should find your way. My way is not the perfect way. So I think that's just what I want to start with, is the caveat of grace, and you're welcome to adapt this to however it works best for you. But I plan my week the Friday before, and that helps me look ahead to the weekend and enjoy it. So I'm going to be sitting down this Friday to plan next week, to look at what I have going on, and then do my best to shut the book of work and everything for the weekend ahead. When I plan my week, I use a 5-block system, like taught by Chelsea Joe. I actually partnered with her, I guess it was year 7 or 8 of making my planner, because I really love her fundamental needs system. It was kind of this missing puzzle piece between big dreams bucket list, which is me in fantasy world of like my big dreams, to like how I'm living my week. And she has this puzzle piece method of like, all right, Polly, you've got this wheel of who you want to become. Let's break that down into like 8 weekly habits we're pumping into our week that's nurturing who we want to become. And like that's kind of this training. And it comes with the planner. When you buy the planner, you get the training with it. It's an entire dream planning essentials course for big dreams and then how to plan your week. But in a nutshell, it's basically you look at this wheel of your life, all the different slices of who you are, right? Like who you are spiritually, who you are, how you're doing in your home, financially, professionally, your motherhood, your marriage, if you're married. You get to write in marriage and motherhood if those slices define you. Not everyone's a mom, not everyone's married. You could put other things like caretaker. There's some people in a season of life where that's a huge hat they're wearing, like they're caring for an elder parent, for example. And what you do is you look at that wheel and you shade it in based on how encouraged or discouraged you are. And that gives you a nice assessment of how you're doing holistically. How are you doing when you look at that wheel? And you could, if you're listening right now, you could write down those 8 categories and give yourself a rating 1 to 10. How are you doing in those areas in terms of encouraged or discouraged? You'll probably find that in one or more areas, you're super low. Like that's where the nail is in the tire. And so what I would encourage you is if you're like, all right, it's my physical fitness and my finances. Those are the worst right now. Like I'm just guessing. And what I would do is I would say, okay, what's one thing I can do in my week physically? One thing, not I'm working out every day, Whole30. Like, don't go nuts. One thing I'm going to do every week to pour into myself physically. Come up with 3 ideas. What are 3 ideas of what you could do? Maybe it's, I want to get more sleep. I want to drink more smoothies. I want to go to a bar class or Orange Theory. I don't know. I've heard they're good. So like, those are my 3 ideas. What's the one thing that we're going to do just this month? It's like sleep, like let's start with the foundational one that's going to help all of it. Sleep. I need more sleep. Okay. We're going to prioritize that this week. And then for your finances, what's the one thing that we're going to put in this week to help nurture that area of your life? I'm going to set up my budget. For me, my thing is every Tuesday, I reconcile. I go in, I log in, and I check, okay, how much have we spent on groceries? Where are we at with going out budget? Where are we at with babysitting budget? Blah, 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 blah. And I can have that updated. And by doing it only once a week, it's not as annoying as once a month when it's like, oh, it's so much work to go back and look at everything. I don't want to do it. Anyway, so that's just practically speaking. I would pinpoint your one area and just add one thing into your week. And then I put my items into the time blocks, which is a morning block, a morning routine block, and then an AM block, and then my midday work, and then a PM block and a night routine. But that's kind of the system that we work with over here.
Yeah, I love that. And I love this like one thing focus. So I'm going to ask you a question that I get all the time because I teach something very similar about like not feeling like we have to do everything because we feel like we have to do everything. It's always, I have so many goals. I have so many things that I want to do. I don't know where to prioritize. Now you gave us some good tips on like looking at your life holistically and starting in those areas. But I want to talk a little bit about the mindset behind that of feeling like it's not enough, but it's not enough. I can't just do one thing that's never going to get me there. Now I have my thoughts that I'm sure align with yours, but I'd love to hear from you about like, what do you do when people come to you, they take the course, they're looking at it, and maybe you get an email that's like, but I have so much I have to get done. I can't just focus on one thing because I mean, that's what society's told us, right? That's the mindset trap we've been on is like, you must do all of it all the time. So I feel like there's a lot of relearning there that needs to happen when you're looking at your goals in a way that we both kind of teach. So what would you say to that mom who's like, I get it, one thing, I should just do one thing, but I have all these goals and all these things and everything feels so urgent to me.
Yeah. The tyranny of the urgent. So if you go through the system of the wheel in the planner, you come up with actually 8 things that you're going to do every week. So, I'm just saying, if you want to get started and you're like, I don't have a planner, I just want to try something, I would suggest taking an action in your weakest areas, because what we tend to do is we make goals in our strengths because it feels good, like the part of my wheel that's the most full, that's the area I'm naturally setting goals and crushing it. Like I like that part of me. That part of me feels the most exciting, right? Like maybe you're listening to this and you're a CrossFit enthusiast and like you're setting these personal record goals and you're crushing it. And like that area is full because that's where you're spending your time. You know what I mean? But what we don't want to do is set goals in like the areas that are stinking. Like, okay, how do I set a goal in my marriage? Like, that part I'm not spending. How do I set a goal in my spiritual life? Like I haven't been spending time there. It's like, that's exactly why we need to sit and ponder what you can do to pour into that part of you, because you're a whole person and we cannot fully go towards our goals and our purposes and our passions and those big dreams when we have so many nails in our tire. Right. So to me, that's the number one dream is wholeness, not perfection. You're not perfect in all areas, but you're pumping the tires up so your car, your life can run forward and you can go towards those dreams, right? When you're rested, when your marriage is good, when your finances are in order and you're working towards a goal in that area, when your home is in order, when those things are not perfect, but they're in order and you're taking time once a week to pour into those areas, you can actually run forward with the callings, right? When our finances are completely out of order, that's going to seep into our marriage. That's going to seep into how we show up professionally for our job because we're stressed, So for me, that's the number one dream is that holistic. And it comes by like little things that you're doing that are important, but not urgent. You've got to take care of the important, but not urgent. Because if we don't, it becomes urgent. That's, but what we do is we waste our time in the unimportant and the non-urgent, right? Those numbing things that we're doing, those time sucks. So I would focus on that, having a schedule where you are nurturing all parts of you so you can show up and do those big dreams and have a time blocked out of like, this is my dream block. This is when I'm working on those big goals. Tuesday mornings when the kids go to school, from this to this, I'm working towards that big goal, that big dream, whatever it is,
Yeah. I love that a lot because I think you're right. We live in this like urgent, everything is on fire mode. And I always say the same thing. Like if you don't work on those important, non-urgent things, then they're urgent and then they're so stressful, right? Like if you get to them when they're in that nice block of like, I know I want to work on this, but it's not urgent. I think it feels so much better. Like it's
you're more creative.
Yes. And it's not feeling like I must have an output of something, right? And this is the thing that I think falls off a lot of people's wagons. It's things like your spiritual health, when all of a sudden you're like, I have too many things to do. Like I can't fit in time to pray or in a Bible or go to church or do any of those things or even talk to God. I was just having a conversation with another entrepreneur friend of mine and we were talking, I was telling her like, I feel like this summer, my prayer life is like, I wasn't prioritizing it. And I feel the difference in my business in the past couple of weeks. I'm like, let's make this a little goal. And I started very small and simple with just like, literally like just quick prayer in the morning. Like if I can just start there, I will feel better. But my brain wanted to do the thing that was like, well, that's not enough. You need to spend an hour sitting with your
Bible.
Need
an hour. You need to read the whole Bible.
Chairs, right? With nobody bothering you. But that's not our reality. So can we give some advice to the moms that are like, yes, I really do want to, maybe add some spiritual practices and disciplines into my life, and I know that they're important, but all the urgent's pulling at me. Like what practical tips can we give them when they're making their schedule for the week that really fit into that busy mom life?
For me, it's like when I have that first moment of break, which, when you're in the newborn life and you're pumping, it could be when you're sitting down at your machine to pump, right? Because everyone gets to leave you alone. The baby's sleeping. Someone's got the baby. You're going off to pump. Instead of opening Instagram, open a book. A great book that I was reading during the throes of newborn life last year was Silence and Solitude, because that's what I wanted so badly. And it's a great book and it teaches you how to sit in the presence of God. And I had such an encounter in that season because I was craving silence and solitude and peace, because it's such a difficult season. As beautiful as it is so hard. Your body is healing and all the things. Another thing that I really like that is, I think, kind of plug and play, because sometimes it's like my brain is just so exhausted to like get into something. I have an app called Lectio 365, and Lectio Divina is basically where someone reads scripture over you and you just sit. You don't have to really do much but listen and sit. And so I love that. That's something as soon as the kids are off to school, because now my youngest is in daycare and my older daughter's in pre-K. When they go to school, that's the first thing I do. I sit here, look out the window, grab a journal and put in my headphones, and it's 5 minutes maybe, and it's quick. And after I get done, just in that place of peace, I'll journal, and just surrender the day, talk to God, hang out as long as I can. Right. But it's setting a habit of like, this is what I do first. Today, that looked like listening to it while I was doing my hair. Not that you can tell that it was done because it fell, but today it was listening to it while I did my hair. I wasn't able to sit with my journal and like soak as much, but I still was like having the scripture read over me. And I think that's a really sweet thing as a mom. It's like someone gets to pour into you, and it's a free app. So that I really recommend starting there. My spiritual director introduced me to it. She likes to put it in her headphones in bed as she's waking up. Like she listens to that while she's still just laying in her bed, which you could listen to it laying in your bed. They have one for right before you go to bed too. Every day it's a 2-part. There's one for the morning and one for the night. So you can literally just, if you wanted to just do it at night, the night scripture reading is so peaceful. Like it will literally lull you to bed. It's so nice with music behind it. So starting with something like that and looking at it as like a gift you're giving yourself, because it is filling you up. It is healing you. It is transforming you. It is awakening the Holy Spirit within you. It's going to help you in so many ways. So that's something I would start that's really simple.
And can you tell us one more time what the app was called?
Lectio 365.
Okay, cool.
So Lectio Divina means divine reading in Latin, I think. There's Visio Divina where you look at art and like just sit and ponder, but Lectio is where it's read over you.
And I think we often discount allowing that to be enough. So I love how much grace is in your planning approach to your habits and your routines in your life, because especially when you're in a season like that, we can't always have that picture perfect time. So why not embrace what we have? A lot of the stuff we talk about in my community is like this perfectionism that holds people back, right? Until my kids go to school, until I have this time. But there's so much power in just that 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. We need to allow our brains to say that's enough, because that's where I'm at right now. And that's really like, obviously we want to give God as much time as we can, but in the season, like the acknowledgement, the talk like is enough. And so permission granted to anyone listening who's struggling with this. Start at 5 minutes. I absolutely love it. It's just something you can anchor in. And I love this idea of before you do something else, because my kids are early risers. My kids are now 6, 7, and 17, right? So my little guy, he's up at 5:30. We've tried everything. It just is what it is, right? I typically get up between 5:30 and 6. So some days he's up before me. So I don't have any time I have no time where there's not a person awake like in the morning. So now that you're saying this actually just gave me a good idea, because I used to do this where I would walk my kids to school, come back, sit. That's when I would do some prayer and journaling before I started work. And they've been back at school 2 weeks, and I realized I haven't started that back up again. So I'm just happy you said that today, because that was like a reminder for me before I start my day. Yes, I have tons of work to do, and the list is there, but just having those few minutes, I think. So thank you, because I needed that reminder, I think, to just like.
We all do. Oh my gosh. It's so easy to just go, because you'll check your email on your phone and like, and we're people pleasing, like, I don't want anyone mad at me. I don't want to drop the ball. Like we want to do well, we're high achievers. And so it's like, it's so hard to surrender that time. It's an offering to God, and like looking at it like that. And, but yeah, it's hard. That's why I listened while I did my hair today, that's where we were.
I love it. But let's shift to the planner real quick, because I'm curious. When I talk to people who like make planners, I'm always curious of their favorite. So what is your favorite feature of the planner for this year? You don't have to give us all the details. I know it has, so it actually comes out. This is airing October 2nd. It comes out October 3rd. So if you're listening today, make sure we'll give you the links in the show notes so you can like get on the wait list to know. So don't spoil the whole thing, but what's your favorite like game-changing little piece of it?
I really love, I love all of it. My big thing is I love the thick paper. That's been something that, we're kind of known for, is you could use whatever inky pens you want and the paper does not bleed. But my favorite feature is the seasonal refreshes. So every 3 months, you're going back through the wheel, you're resetting your goals, deciding what are my 8 things I'm going to put into my week so I can nurture me. You have time to do a generosity planning of who am I praying for, who am I showing up for this season, to be intentional with that, and a heart check of what fears are holding me back, what do I need to let go of, and who do I need to forgive. And I love just sitting down every 3 months to kind of do it again versus just this prep work at the beginning of the planner of dreaming and stuff. I'm really excited about that. But this planner, in terms of aesthetics, for this collection is very New York. It's very classic. It's very black and simple, but beautiful. So I'm really excited about it. The cover art's different this year, and it's been the same for like 9 years. So I'm really pumped, and it's already actually been revealed. So you guys can just go to HoratioPrinting.com.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I didn't spoil. The tour is already on the website if you want to go check it out. You can flip through it. I'll show you everything about it on the website. But what's cool is tomorrow we're actually giving $350 to the first shopper at 10 a.m. So if you're the first shopper, you're going to win. So you definitely want to set your alarm. And the first 100 shoppers are getting my new journal, a blank journal lined. And on the front of the journal, it says my next chapter. So it's just a beautiful journaling book. You could use it in your morning routine, a journal to God kind of thing. And on every page of that journal, there is a olive branch, which is a symbol of hope for the next chapter. So I'm really excited about that. And the first 100 shoppers who buy a planner will get that for free with their purchase.
Oh, I love that. And also, just going back to that seasonal refresh, I love that it's not just about the goals. Like, what did you said? Things to forgive. What was the other thing you said? People to forgive.
So that's the heart check. It's like a heart detox. It's what do I need to let go of? Who do I need to forgive? And what fears are holding me back?
Because I love planning. I'm great at that. That piece is missing for me because I think I'm so, and a lot of my listeners, very driven, like, let's go, let's go. How often do we stop ourselves to do this piece? So that's beautiful. Oh my gosh. I love the fact that that's incorporated in there because often we just won't, right? We just keep going. And, there's so many consequences.
Who knows what we're blocking due to unforgiveness, right? Bitterness, unforgiveness is such a poison that we take. And, I listened to a podcast years ago, 2015, called The Toxins of the Heart by Christine Kane. And she was teaching this to her employees. She would record her weekly meetings with her employees and like put it up on a podcast many, many moons ago. And these were the questions she asked. These are the 3 toxins of the heart, and like, if you're dealing with toxins, you got to get rid of it so you can run your race. And like, she's such a shot of espresso. I love her. And I was like, I'm going to put that in my planner, So a lot of these things I've heard from sermons or people I love, I'm like, oh, let's put that in there because like, that's important, And so I've just kind of taken pieces from different things that I've loved and added it in there. It's morphed over the years.
I love that. I'm going to add that into my planning too. That's wonderful. Tell us more. I know you mentioned all the cool things about the launch. Where can we find the planner tomorrow when it comes out? Give us all those directions. So
tomorrow, HoratioPrinting.com. And if you want to shop early and win the prizes, there is a pop-up there to join our SMS list, because once you text me, I will text you the passcode to enter tomorrow. So the website's going to be locked for 2 hours and only VIPs will get the key to enter basically and shop early. So make sure you jump on the SMS list just for tomorrow if you want to, and I'll send you the passcode around 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard, and you can go in there and get your cart ready, but you don't want to check out till right at 10 a.m. with the code. The code won't go live until 10 a.m. and it's the first shopper who checks out at 10 a.m. with the code. So that's a big caveat. You want to make sure you use the code. You'll get 20% off your purchase. If you're obviously the first shopper, you're going to win $350. If you're the first 100, you'll win a journal. So that's how you do it. So make sure you jump over there, go ahead and jump on the list, and I'll text you in the morning.
Awesome. And 10 a.m. Eastern, just to clarify. I do everything Eastern, but I just always like to check.
Okay. 10 a.m. Eastern. Yes.
10 a.m. Eastern for anybody who's not on the East Coast. We are going to link all of that up at the show notes over at purposedrivenmom.com/podcast 3 72, but you can also just scroll up on your player. If you're watching this on YouTube, we'll have those links below. But good luck, Polly. This is going to be such a great launch for you. I know it. And thank you for just giving your time and your wisdom today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.